Reddit Ask Me Anything. I was in several comas over a 4-month period, from 2017 to 2018. Doctors diagnosed me as brain dead and said I would most likely die. However, I was in a pseudo coma, locked in, conscious the entire time. Ask me anything. Can you tell us how was the moment you finally communicate with another human after being trapped inside your body? Who noticed? How did you speak? Tell us, please. My wife, she could tell by my eyes. Eventually stuck out my tongue for yes and then blinked my eyes for no. That led to a letterboard. Were you awake the whole time? Did you dream at all? Did you feel any pain or felt any physical touch? I was in there and out, but yes, I could feel pain and that there were times where I felt nothing and times I felt everything. Were you fully awake or in a dream-like state all or some of the time? I cannot imagine how torturously it has to be immobilized but fully conscious. Was there even mix? Did you hear anyone trash talk about you? Edit. Thank you kind stranger for gold. Holy shit 3.7k upvotes. Semicolon. I'm shaking LMAO. Yes, sadly. How did you stay sane? Where did you place your mind to keep from losing it? Very good question. It was very hard, but I had a lot of love for my wife and I tried to keep looking to the future even though I had little or no chance. Also, I have a very good sense of humor. I tried to keep that alive the entire time in my own head. Can you share some interesting attempts to wake you up? Did people try bringing food you love in an attempt to see if you move? Or deliver some shocking news in hopes of jolting you awake? My wife had a very good feeling that it was really there. She would read to me and tell me about what was going on in her life. She tried to keep things very calm for me. There is one very distant memory I have of my mother-in-law coming to see me and talk to me, because we are 99% sure this was caused by drug use and she knew nothing about this. She said, "I forgive you for everything and every day, don't worry, I will take care of your wife." She was crying and I felt like crying. Since I've been able to talk again, we have discussed this. I told her in that moment I felt like I shed a tear. She actually told me she thinks she could tell I was sad and was almost caring. Whoa, so you were able to see and hear but not able to move your body? Hear and see nothing else. If given the opportunity, would you have preferred to have been euthanized? I hope this isn't overstepping. I'm genuinely curious. Not overstepping at all, this is Ask Me Anything. The honest answer is there are times where yay, if I had the choice in that moment I would have taken it, but I had those feelings rarely, so overall no. Did you slowly gain back control and alert those around you that you were conscious? Or did it all come back at once? I was always alert, but I cannot express it. The muscles to work and my face took 6 months to work somewhat normal. I still have a long way to go. Good to know you are recovering. When you say that you're facing challenges with regards to physical movements, did it also affect your verbal communication? Did your voice get altered a bit, etc.? Yes, slurred speech. Oh, is there any improvement on that front as well? And all the best on your recovery. Yes, in every area, thank you very much. Are you turned off from heroin or do you still crave it? Did you have panic attacks? I feel like I would have them so bad my heart might just stop. Did they keep you sedated in any way or meds to keep you calm? I'm getting anxiety just thinking about what you went through. Yes, in the ass, but there was no medication for this feeling. I'm sorry, you are saying you had panic attacks in your ass? No, lol, I meant to say yes and yes, damn Siri. Were you able to move your eyes at all to communicate during the coma? How are you now? Thank you. No, not then, but by the time I was put on hospice care I was able to communicate with my eyes only. After about 16 months in rehabilitation hospitals, all things considering, I am doing remarkably well and continue to. I have a long way to go and I am beginning to really learn how to walk. Thank you. Really curious where your mind goes for months on end. To what degree was it boredom, anxiety, acceptance of situation, etc. I've sat in a dark room by myself for hours, but I can still scratch if I have an itch, or get up to get a drink if I'm thirsty. Really wondering how your mind adapts to the situation, and how your perspective changes. Any thoughts on consciousness that arose from your perspective? Thanks. There are so many adjectives to try describe this. I have been searching, but there is not one word that can captivate everything. I mean, there are several adjectives that can describe it, but I have been searching for one that can really captivate it with no luck yet. It is unbelievably alone, sad, scary, depressing, and it feels like time stands still. It's so helpless to have people talking to you and saying if you can hear me blink or signal and then not be able to. It is so helpless. Humans adapt, you do to some degree. What other choice do you have? So like sleep paralysis but for 2 years. WTF, I had that shit for like 3 minutes and thought I was going to die. My comas went on from October 2017 to February 2018. Then I went to home care hospice for 6 months where I was virtually locked in. Yeah, it was awful. Did you experience depression while in your coma-like state? Yes. After seeing and hearing, could you think? Could you make up stories and dream up random things? Is there a random joke or a story you could tell us what you came up while in coma? I could absolutely think. I was very active in my own head. How did other people realize you were conscious? No one realizes for way too long. Some of my family realize I was in there by my eyes. Some doctors begin to agree. How are you doing now? Medically I am great, same with emotionally. The physical part is where I need a significant work. Relearning how to walk is my biggest thing. Due to the inactivity experience from my coma and hospice, it left me severely contracted. Getting my hands and feet back to a functional position is the biggest challenge. They did not even think this would be possible, but so far so good. What was it like waking up and finally communication, and people realizing you were no longer in a coma? Well, it was not like I woke up one day, it was just fine. There was another 8 months of not being able to communicate. Excuse the blunt question. How did you not go insane after spending a long time immobilized but aware? I would think that I would lose my sanity very quickly. I did, but I kept my mind busy and knew that I would recover. I refused to believe what everyone was saying. What did you see while in comas? Seemed to have a view of the entire room. At times I actually had a view as if I was on the ceiling. When I came out of the coma and just was locked in, I could only look at the ceiling. I want to give you a big hug for beating this. Onwards and upwards. How did you realize you were going into lock-in syndrome? Also, what were the first signs that you were coming out of it? Thank you for the hug. This thing was a very fast, rapid decline. I went from a able-bodied 28-year-old highly functioning to bedridden in 3 months. It was not until the end of October 2017, right after the picture was taken of me, that picture was taken of me with the ventilator, that I realized no one knew I was still in there. Hey, my sister recently had a cardiac arrest and fell into a coma. Seeing this post really gives me hope. She is my role model, and seeing her with a breathing tube down her throat literally broke me. Had to spend all my Christmas money just to fly up here and rent a hotel. I have to fly back to Florida today, but my hopes are much higher after reading about you. Did you ever open your eyes while locked in? Could you see? She is in the same state, but she opens her eyes and squeezes them closed. When we moved her head too much when combing her hair out, she would make agitated faces as if she could feel it. Doctors say she isn't brain dead and all her organs are recovering, but she just isn't conscious and controlling her body. My dad was the same way, and then rather quickly, I'd say within a week, he started really coming back. This was in August. He now is 100% back to normal after dying roughly 7 times. Anything is possible. How long after you stopped chasing the dragon did this happen to you? I was off and on. The bad batch got into my system and slowly I got sick. What was the initial reaction to telling people you've heard everything they said? Also, how long were you in this pseudo coma? Remarkably, I could think extremely clear, but it was so sad seeing my family don't know if it was okay or even there. I had a general sense of time, if that makes any sense. My internal clock was still functional. Who talked the most shit when you were in your coma? Random emergency room people. As a nursing student, what behavior of the nurses helped you getting through this mess? What did not help? Nice relaxing tones. Taking the time to learn the communication system. Patience. Do you have any plans on being an advocate for people with heroin addiction? You have an amazing story, and I'm positive your story alone will scare the addictions out of 90% of people. Props to you. Yes, that is one of my many plans. Did you get itchy? Oh my god, all day every day. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content. It's free and that's a great price.